Hello there. This is Matthew. It's been a little while since I've been on. About a year and a half, I think. It might have been almost 2 years now that I think about it. Because I think it was early 2017. Well, my wife's been working full-time. I've been working full-time. And I've been up and down in terms of how I feel about various things. I have actually made some more music, quite a bit of it actually in the last year and a half, but I haven't uploaded almost any as videos to YouTube because my YouTube monetization went away in February of last year. When everyone's went away, end of February, beginning of March, I think it was, when that all happened. So I haven't had another video come out on this channel for a long time. I realized, I haven't gotten a few comments. Most of the comments I've gotten are from way back in the day, though. They're all from the video that I made back in, I think 2011 or 2010. The one that's the recording of the airport in Atlanta, that I labeled like SCP site, I don't remember what it was, 112 or 212 or something. And now that I'm aware of that site, a lot more detail, I should say, because this was a long time ago when I made that. Before SCP readings was a thing, before Volgan got started, before a lot of people really got involved with the SCP Foundation, really. It was, I think when I made that video, because I was visiting the airport with my dad there in uniform, coming back from Indianapolis, Indiana, we flew through there. American Airlines, I think it was. We had layover for the night, and that's why we were there at the airport, going through the whole thing. We were trying to figure out where our next flight was going to be. We were going to go to the center, get some food, come back out, and catch our second flight. We managed to walk all the way through security, ending up outside, so we didn't end up managing to catch our flight, so we ended up having to get the next day. But anyway, sorry. The thing with having those sorts of things happen, where you've got a video that's labeled one way, and people don't seem to read the description, or even my other replies that are on the video, because I posted several times in both the description as well as in reply to people that, of course, it's not the SCP site. It is actually an airport. I just posted that as kind of a silly thing back when I still had a laptop. YouTube had this really dumb thing that they added called, auto adjust and focus. Your video is shaky, would you like us to fix that? And I was like, heck with it. I'll load this little cheap camera that I was holding against my shoulder here, recording an airport, let it adjust, and wow, this really made kind of a freaky, almost like guerrilla, recording footage kind of thing. And I was like, heck with it. I'll put some music that YouTube had licensed in there for free, so that I didn't have to pay anything for it. And it looked kind of creepy, had some artwork on the walls, and I was like, heck with it, I'll just say it's like an SCP site, as if you were having anomalous items that were on displays. That was all the artwork. Apparently it didn't really show up much in the video. You mostly see people walking around with their travel bags and things, so naturally people didn't get that at all and just went, this is an airport, and they all tried to say it was a different airport, but I know it was Atlanta, Georgia, because I'm the one who recorded it, so I know exactly where it happened. And yeah, I've been working a lot more on getting my OBS up to date. I'm playing some new games. I'm probably going to be going back into doing some YouTube, the chance, but most of what I'm going to do is probably Twitch streaming through OBS or YouTube streaming. I haven't decided. I may do both, run OBS twice, or figure out how to do dual, so one's to YouTube, one's to Twitch. But I've upgraded my computer. I did that back in 2017 as well. That's part of the reason why I made the announcement about making more episodes and more content, is because I had specifically made a video. I'd gotten upgrades to my computer, a new video card, memory sticks that were working properly, an SSD hard drive so I could actually, external, so I could download videos I was making to that, so I didn't fill up my hard drive, because if you've ever done any recording via Fraps or OBS or other things, you know just how fast your hard drive can fill up from recording videos. And so I had Alucard playthrough that was from our S&M Game Dungeon, Stephanie and Matt Game Dungeon. You can look it up on YouTube. That was our channel active until November of last year. Sorry, 2 years ago now, 2017. But when our channel got looked like it was about to be demonetized because they announced it in November, saying next February it's going away, we decided to just kill it, you know, because there was no point to try and get the amount of footage that they were wanting us to have in order to keep up our oh man, someone's parked there again, to keep up our monetization. We were going to need to spend a lot of time trying to make massive amounts of people showing up and watching our videos in order to get that goal, and we didn't get it. You know, November was where a lot of channels died. That's when Gloves and Boots finally kicked it. Now they're back, but, you know, that's where a lot of channels kind of went into, oh God, all of our revenue is gone mode, because every single advertiser with the Adpocalypse Phase 1 was going into effect, or Phase 2, I guess. When they finally removed the monetization of my channel, I was like, that's unfortunate, because I was about ready to start making content for this channel again at some point. I'm still going to be uploading music to this channel, but if anyone has anything they want me to upload to this channel or record, please do let me know and I can work on it. I also have a lot of role-playing game stories, and I've noticed those are quite popular nowadays. I don't know how many would be animated, but I've run role-playing games and been a Dungeon Master for, God, since 1992, 1993. It's about the same time I got into second edition Dungeons & Dragons and first edition Dungeons & Dragons. I was about to be in kindergarten. So that was my reading back then. Reading Lord of the Rings. Now, I hadn't gotten math down yet. So some of the D&D games we were playing back then were more make-up and less, you know, actual, more made-up content and less, how should I say, stat-based, but it was still D&D regardless, following the monster manual and everything else. So, otherwise, I'll be working more on content. If you guys want me to talk about any specific role-playing game, I can give you a short list. So, here's the ones that I'm most familiar with, and I could talk about stories from any of these games, or about the games themselves. I've played all these game systems for years, and some of them I've recently started playing, but I'm relatively familiar with it because I've been playing it for a long time. So one of them is Call of Cthulhu. I'm familiar with multiple editions, including 5th, and I think I have the 6th or 7th edition at the house there from Sandy Prestridge. You know, but yeah, D&D first edition. Sorry, Dungeons & Dragons First Edition, Dungeons & Dragons Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, Dungeons & Dragons Second Edition, sorry, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Second Edition, I should say more specifically, Dungeons & Dragons Third Edition, that's when Wizards of the Coast took over, Dungeons & Dragons Fourth Edition, I've played it a little bit, I'm not the fan of it, but I've played it enough to be familiar with it, Dungeons & Dragons Fifth Edition, let's see, Dark Heresy, First Edition, Dark Heresy, Second Edition, Mage the Ascension, Big Eye, Small Mouth, it's called Besom, you can look it up. I'm also familiar with Silver Age Sentinels, Mutants and Masterminds, Third Edition. I'm also familiar with Second Edition, but I like the way Third Edition kind of moved away from being as much D20 SRD as Second Edition was, because Second Edition still had feats. They got rid of feats entirely. They became like features, similar concept, but they're no longer like level-based or things like that. Everything went to PL, which everything is now PL-based, which is a good way of running things, honestly. It makes things a lot easier to balance. let's see. Then there was uh, Fallout Equestria RPG, which the last edition I'm familiar with is 1.23. I think it's still there as 1.23. I don't mean the one by KCAT. I mean the one that's on foerpg.blogspot.com, which I think it's still in hiatus. You can check it if you're interested. Then there is the Fallout pen and paper, which is what Duck Duck. I forget the name of it. I think it's the Duck PNP or something is what it's called. But it was a Fallout 1 based on Fallout 1 and 2. It had the Fallout Bible kind of implemented into itself. It's a percentile-based system, just like the original Fallout and Fallout 2. Which Fallout 3 kind of moved away from a little bit, but it kept some of the concepts of the percentile system, including the randomized chance of success. And then New Vegas just kind of said, you need this percent to get access to that choice, which I like that better, because that's kind of a benefit of knowing what you need to have in order to succeed at it. So it's like, oh, if you had 35, you could do this. Oh, cool. So take some mentats or buff out, whatever. Read a skill magazine, now you can do the thing. So you have a set goal and know how much you need to get in order to achieve that goal. Let's see, I'm also familiar with, what's it called? Pathfinder I'm slightly familiar with. I haven't played a lot of it, though. I've played a couple of character creation sessions, that's it. Starfinder I'm more familiar with, even though I haven't played it, because I've been building a lot of stuff into that edition and system. Edge of the Empire, that's a Star Wars one. Star Wars Edge of the Empire, Age of Rebellion, and Force and Destiny I'm very familiar with, because I've had to go through all those books to help pull into a Star Wars campaign I'm running with Genesys. Now, Genesys, let me spell it, Genesys. It's a different system. It's a narrative dice system, so everything is based on successes, failures, advantage, and threat, triumph, and despair. You can look it up. It just came out in 2017 November. I started using it right away. I've been using it for a long time now. I'm also familiar with Star Wars D20, Star Wars Saga, Star Wars West End Games, which is the original Star Wars RPG, from the same people who had D&D, TSR. Let's see. Oh, GURPS. I'm familiar with GURPS 3rd edition and GURPS 4th edition. I'm not familiar with other editions of GURPS. I know of 1 and 2, but I haven't really seen much of it. I think I have a couple modules that were from GURPS 2 that I converted to GURPS 3rd edition when I was running a superpowered campaign, or one of the many, many zombie or superpowered campaigns I've played over the years, or the fantasy ones. D20 Modern I'm familiar with. I'm also familiar with Traveler, although I haven't played much of it. I have it. I am familiar with, I think it's called Fantasy Imperium. Yes, Fantasy Imperium. I'm also familiar with, sorry, I'm having a brain fart now. I forgot the name of the other one. Oh, right. I said earlier Besem. I also have played Besem 20. Or Besem D20, Besem D20, which is the D20 conversion of Besem, which I thought was kind of strange, because the entire reason of Besem is it's a tri-stat system. Oh, right. I'm also familiar with Fate. I'm familiar with all of the Dungeon World, or I should say Apocalypse World games, so I've played a lot of those. Those are very simplistic. You basically have a move set, and you have like a health clock that counts. And when you reach a certain point in the clock from taking wound ticks, you become severely injured and then go unconscious, and if you keep going, you die. So it's a very nice narrative. Shadowrun, I'm familiar with. I don't remember which edition. I don't remember which edition. I know I've looked at the newer stuff, but I've also looked at some of the stuff from like the early 2000s. I think I've looked at some of the 1990s ones too. Cyberpunk 2020 I'm familiar with. Cyberpunk 2070 I'm familiar with. I'm not familiar with 2077 yet. I think that there's actually supplements released for that because of the game coming out. They're going to be probably putting some more stuff of Cyberpunk 2077 out there. I'm pretty sure. It may already be. I haven't looked at it yet. Let's see. I think that's most of the things I'm familiar with. I know. Oh, right. I mentioned Mage the Ascension. I'm also familiar, of course, with World of Darkness, Vampire the Masquerade. I think it was 2nd edition. The new version I'm avoiding completely. I read through the introduction to the new version of Vampire the Masquerade. If you can stomach that, go for it. I couldn't stomach it, so I was like, the introduction is supposed to make me want to come into the world. Not basically tell me, go away, this is not your game. Not a good introduction to the game. But I played it for years, so I'm familiar with it. Mage Knight. It's a tabletop game, but it's not the same thing. Okay, I mentioned Dark Heresy earlier. Dark Heresy 2nd edition. Also, Warhammer Fantasy role-playing game I'm familiar with. Wow, we're already at 15 minutes. I really should wrap this up. I just realized how long I've been going. I am also familiar with... Wow, that's crazy. Sorry, I'm also familiar with Legend of the Five Rings. That's a good one. Savage Worlds, I am getting familiar with. I actually have a game I'm playing very soon that's based on Savage Worlds. I'm learning that, next Thursday I've got a game I'm playing for that. So I hope to become very familiar with it very soon. I've already made a character for it, so that's going to be cool. Having another GM run it for me, and that's going to be cool. Traveler, I'm familiar with a little bit. I can run it. It's just I haven't gotten a chance to run it yet. I'm going to be running that soon as well, which will be great. I can't wait to run some Traveler. It's going to be cool. Genesis, same thing. I've run a lot of Genesis. That's Genesys. Now that one runs the same system. I forgot to mention this earlier. It runs the same system as Edge of the Empire, Age of Rebellion, and Force and Destiny. So it runs the same thing as the Fantasy Flight games, Star Wars games. So that's why I got familiar with it. Is I looked at the Star Wars games, and then Genesis came out. I'm like, I can convert this to everything. I've seen people convert My Little Pony to it. I've seen people convert Vampire the Masquerade, Call of Cthulhu, D&D, Pathfinder, Skyrim, Elder Scrolls games, all converted into Genesis because it's narrative based, so you could do anything. It's kind of like what you could do with Fate, where you can convert it to everything. The only difference is Fate, it takes a lot more work to convert some things than others. GURPS is the same way, where it stats everything, and then you can kind of figure out what works for you. That takes a long time to go through because there's so many options. I think I have like 30 GURPS books. Let's see here. Oh, I'm trying to think. There's more role-playing games. Let's just say that that's a good start. And I'm sure I have like a long list of others. That's just my first little list of which ones. Because I've run way more than that at conventions. I used to be the guy that everyone would come to Anime Fest here in Dallas for years and years and years. Like I think 2007 to 2012 or 13. I think it was 13. Is that entire time, every year I would be like, I'm just running whatever games people want me to. So I would come with my rolling cart in, just kind of rolling in with my laptop there, and my entire bag is full of books of various role-playing games. And whatever people wanted to play, I would run. Whatever it was. World of Darkness? Check. Mage the Ascension? Check. Besom? Check. D20? Check. D&D 3.5? Check. D&D 2nd Edition? Not yet. I was familiar with it, but it had been so long since I played it again. It wasn't until I started running it again in 2017 that it really got locked down. Because that's when I started running it all the time. I'm rambling again. Okay, sorry. To end things, feel free to pick which games you want me to talk about, if any. I can run you through character creation. I could talk about various books, different aspects. I also write a lot on being a GM. I also watch a absolute ton of YouTubers talking about how to be good GM or good player or world building, and I have a lot of experience world building. I could probably help out with that if someone wants me to. I've helped make campaign settings with other people a couple times. Most of the time I find people to just kind of say that they're interested and then they never get back to me. That's okay. but if anyone ever does get back to me, I will immediately get back to them and start working on it. I even at one point was making a setting for Kingdom Hearts, because I'm a huge fan of Disney and fantasy, Final Fantasy, and I should say Square Enix games and Disney. And I was like, unholy abomination this is. Ooh, I like it. And I made one for Dark Heresy, but I was using the Black Crusade system of it. Oh, yeah, that's right. I said Dark Heresy. I'm also familiar with Open War, or sorry, Only War, you know, the Imperial Guard version, I should say. I was helping beta it back when it came out. Black Crusade, which I also helped beta, and Rogue Trader, which I also helped beta. All three of these I paid early to get the access to the beta so I could work on them, because I immediately wanted to make campaigns based on those. Only 2 of those I actually ran. I never ran a Rogue Trader. I was going to last year, but the group fell through. They didn't seem to really be interested. I was going to be running a Kingdom Hearts, but the timing and the schedule seems to be off for that group, so I don't know if I'm running it. Probably not. So right now, that's all I'm working on. I could help on D&D. I could help on converting a system into another system. Oh, you want to have Dresden Files, and you want to convert it into Fate. I could probably help. Oh, you want to take... that's another good one. Wheel of Time, and convert Wheel of Time to Dune RPG. That would be weird, but doable. Oh, you want to take... I'm trying to think of something out of the world. Oh, something that doesn't exist in the system. Oh, you want to bring Ghostbusters into a game system. My wife did that. She actually ran a Ghostbusters RPG in GURPS. That's doable. If you have a concept and you want to run a game and you're looking for someone to kind of help it get just far enough over that you can run the rest, or if you're needing advice because you're out of ideas and you want someone who's had a lot of experience with all sorts of players, all sorts of campaigns, I can definitely help out there. Oh, right. And next video, I'm going to try and be clean shaven before the video. This was kind of off the cuff. I was driving home from work and I was like, I haven't posted in a long time. I feel it's time for me to finally respond to people. Last fall was pretty hard. I ended up having this vehicle that I'm currently sitting in stolen, and then it took forever to get the transmission fixed and everything fixed up in here. I've still got pieces of it right here, just sitting here from, and the panel that they broke, which I don't think you can even see the part that's broken, but they snapped it in half. Just sitting right here because I haven't gone back and gotten that done yet. Still have the part where they snapped off one. I replaced the one on the driver's side, but the passenger side works just fine. Anyway, I'm going to let y'all go here because I've rambled on for far too long. If you ever want me to ramble about a topic you're interested in, let me know. I don't mind doing that. I will probably not do that in my car. I was just dreading getting out of the car too because it's like 30 degrees outside. There's a reason I have this nice scarf that my wife got me for Christmas, which is Space Invaders. So there's that. So have a good one, everyone, and God bless. See ya.